Dolorosa. Today is day 36, and we pick up in Matthew chapter 14, beginning at verse 13. As soon as Jesus heard the news, he left in a boat to a remote area to be alone. But the crowds heard where he was headed and followed on foot from many towns. Jesus saw the huge crowd as he stepped from the boat, and he had compassion on them and healed their sick. That evening, the disciples came to him and said, "This is a remote place, and it's already getting late. Send the crowds away so they can go to the villages and buy food for themselves." But Jesus said, "That isn't necessary. You feed them." "But we have only 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish," they answered. "Bring them here," he said. Then he told the people to sit down on the grass. Jesus took the 5 loaves and 2 fish, looked up toward heaven, and blessed them. Then breaking the loaves into pieces, he gave the bread to the disciples, who distributed it to the people. They all ate as much as they wanted, and afterward the disciples picked up 12 baskets of leftovers. About 5,000 men were fed that day, in addition to all the women and children. Jesus' dear friend and cousin, John the Baptist, was killed by King Herod, and Jesus went to be alone. The crowds followed him. Jesus had compassion on them and ministered to them. How have we responded to people when we faced a similar tragedy? Would we be willing to add to our load by feeding them, 5,000 men plus women and children? We would not. We would send them home to feed themselves, and we would have missed out on one of the greatest miracles. How many miracles have we missed receiving because the cost of serving Jesus was too high? Also, in the midst of Jesus' grieving, he multiplied a little bit of food to feed a multitude. One of his greatest miracles came out of a time of emotional poverty. When we face great limitations, do not think that God is limited. Do not allow our limited resources to determine what God is able to do in any situation. As we look at this story, there is shame. We know we have missed great blessings because we focused on our problems and not those of the hurting people around us. It is also hard to keep doing what is right, seeing the way he sees and having his heart for hurting people. Still, we need to want his heart and to see with his eyes. How? Today we have little strength. Let him help us today. First, to take time with him to hear his heart for our world. Second, to take that heart and release it in the power of his Spirit. Let's continue reading, picking up at verse 22. Immediately after this, Jesus insisted that his disciples get back into the boat and cross to the other side of the lake, while he sent the people home. After sending them home, he went up into the hills by himself to pray. Night fell while he was there alone. Meanwhile, the disciples were in trouble far away from land, for a strong wind had risen, and they were fighting heavy waves. About 3 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came toward them, walking on the water. When the disciples saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. In their fear, they cried out, "It's a ghost!" But Jesus spoke to them at once. "Don't be afraid," he said. "Take courage, I am here." Then Peter called to him, "Lord, if it's really you, tell me to come to you walking on the water." "Yes, come," Jesus said. So Peter went over the side of the boat and walked on the water toward Jesus. But when he saw the strong wind and the waves, he was terrified and began to sink. "Save me, Lord," he shouted. Jesus immediately reached out and grabbed him. "You have so little faith," Jesus said. "Why did you doubt me?" When they climbed back into the boat, the wind stopped. Then the disciples worshipped him. "You really are the Son of God," they exclaimed. "Lord, if it is you, command me to come to you on the water." This came from the mouth of a man who did not think before he spoke. Have our mouths got us into trouble lately? We are in good company. Still, Jesus used it to release a great lesson and blessing. Peter walked on the water. Yes, he struggled in faith, but he did it. Which storm are we in today? Does it need to be made still, or is there to grow in our faith? We do not know until we ask. Be ready to step out of that boat, though. We are scared to ask the Father, but ask him if he will ask us to step out of that boat too. We know that our faith is too small for that. Still, he says, "Come," and he means it. So, we struggle with a desire for a greater faith and a fear of exposure for our lack of faith. As the storm arises, we keep asking him to calm the storm, and he makes it even worse. We know it because there is a need for growing faith. Ask him to give us both a discerning heart and a heart of faith. Let's continue reading, picking up at verse 34. After they had crossed the lake, they landed at Gennesaret. When the people recognized Jesus, the news of his arrival spread quickly throughout the whole area, and soon people were bringing all their sick to be healed. They begged him to let the sick touch at least the fringe of his robe, and all who touched him were healed. How did people know who Jesus was? There was a man who had a legion of demons and was now healed. Jesus challenged him to go and tell others. So he went and told everyone in the towns and villages what Jesus did for him. He was not a gifted speaker. He was not a well-trained disciple. He was just obedient. He just shared what God did for him. Now, Jesus comes back. People were willing to let Jesus touch them, or in this case, they touched him. The healing that this man received, they received as well, all because a simple man with a simple testimony let his neighbors know what God did for him. We think our testimony has little value. It has great value. We know that we underestimate what he can do in the lives of others if we simply walk in obedience. So today, we need to ask for forgiveness for hiding the goodness he has done for us, hiding it from those around us who need to see it. This week, ask for opportunities and faithfulness to share what he did for us. Thank you for joining us, and join us tomorrow as we continue our journey down the Via Dolorosa. God bless.